NFL football is back this week, which means it is finally the last of the preseason content. And today we're going to be giving you our predictions for the end of season awards. We're going to be giving our predictions for Super Bowl matchup, Super Bowl winner, MVP, offensive and defensive player of the year, and offensive and defensive rookie of the year. And as well, we're also going to be giving you our pick for who we think will be finishing last, i.e. who's having the first overall pick in the NFL draft come April, the Wooden Spoon Award. We'll also be giving some long shots for these awards because it's fun not to always go with the chalky picks, but whilst giving you a bit of an outside shot as well. And I'm joined by my co-host, Nick Corbs. Nick, are you ready for some NFL football?
I can't wait. With the first game only a couple days away, a long summer without football is finally over, and I can't wait for the rest of the season.
It's been a long time, but we are back. Make sure you subscribe right now for more NFL content. We will be churning out the content for you all season long, and you do not want to miss a video, so make sure you subscribe now, leave a like, and leave a comment to agree or disagree with anything that we are saying. So, let's get right into it. What is your predicted Super Bowl matchup?
My predicted Super Bowl matchup, it's not crazily off the rails. It's the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, okay.
The reason for that is I think they're the two best teams in football. I think they've got great coaching, great offensive, great defense. I think they're complete teams with really strong in the trenches, especially. I can't see any of the teams regressing. The only question is, can Lamar get over the playoff hump? I think it's more of a media narrative than a reality. So I think the Ravens are going to make it to the Super Bowl and actually beat the Eagles.
So I've gone with a pretty similar one. I've gone with the Ravens against the 49ers, though. So I agree with you. I think the Ravens are a very, very strong team. I do want the Bills to also be in there with a shot, but I think that I have more questions about the Bills than I do with the Ravens. I don't like the Bills' defensive tackle situation in January and in playoff football when everyone's running it right at you. It's cold. I prefer how the Ravens are built for that style of football. What needs to happen, though, Neil, and I'm sure you agree with me, is that someone in the AFC needs to take one for the team and beat the Chiefs before they get to the AFC Championship game, because that's when Mahomes and Reid are at the peak of their powers. And I do feel that maybe the AFC West this year, with the Broncos being good, with the Raiders being a lot better, with the Chargers hopefully finally being a competent team in year 2 of the Harbaugh regime, maybe the Chiefs won't get that first or second seed. Maybe they'll be a bit lower. They'll have a harder matchup. It just cannot be another Chiefs Super Bowl.
A man can dream, Dom. A man can dream. But maybe, with the NFL narrative, with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce now engaged, she has to do the halftime show. I'm joking. But why do you pick the 49ers, Dom? I'm quite surprised by that.
So I picked the 49ers because I think the NFC is a bit of a crapshoot, right? I think the Eagles and the Rams and the 49ers are the three kind of best teams in that division, I would say. I could see either three of those, any three of those making it in. I just think that the Eagles are the most talented team, I would say, top to bottom in the NFL. I just don't know how much I trust Nick Sirianni. Obviously, they've had it twice now where both their coordinators have kind of got poached, and now Kellen Moore's now gone to the Saints. And I do just think that we've seen the Eagles at their lowest, which was that season where they started, they were like 10-0, and then they just imploded down the stretch. That is because Nick Sirianni isn't capable of steadying that ship. And I do think that with a new offensive coordinator, and I do think also that the Eagles were a bit more mortal than you'd like to think in their pass protection. They were a bottom 3 team with the Browns and another team, I can't remember, but they're bottom 3 in terms of pressure rate allowed. So yeah, they run it loads. So in terms of their pressure rate per game or their sacks PM, it's quite low. But actually their pass protection, specifically with regards to stunts and blitzes, is actually really not that great. And Jalen Hurts isn't that great at offsetting that himself. Well, actually, no, sorry, he is with his legs, but not pre-snap kind of with changing his protection. So I can see the Eagles just kind of stumbling a little bit. And I think the 49ers, if they hit the high end of their variance, they could be a Super Bowl team. I mean, they're getting George Kittle back healthy, Ayuk back healthy eventually. Brock Purdy was obviously still a good quarterback, I think. Christian McCaffrey's coming back healthy. They've still got Kyle Shanahan. I like what the 49ers could be at the top end of their level. But why do you think the Eagles are going to make it?
Well, I think it's almost the opposite reason for the 49ers. I think the 49ers have just lost a lot of talent all around the board. I don't think trading for Brian Robinson is really replacing that. There's so many injury risks on that team. And defensively, they lost so much talent in free agency of one of the best defenses in the NFL. I know they're getting Salah back, the old Jets head coach, who I think is a very good defensive coordinator. But I just think there's too many moving parts. Whereas the Eagles, they're just a better team than last year. They drafted incredibly, taking Jihad Campbell. And I just don't think their team has gotten worse. You said they've lost their coordinators, but I think they can replace. I don't think it's quite as bad as, for example, the Lions situation where the coordinators are really
Yes.
the entire team. So yes, I think that you're right to question it, but I think there's a reason why the Eagles are the favourites.
They are the favourites, and for good reason. I obviously think they're going to be a very good team this year. Like, I think they will be right in and around the NFC Championship game 100%. Wouldn't shock me if it was 49ers Eagles, to be honest with you, depending on how the seeding's done. But the thing is with the 49ers is that, yeah, they lost a lot of defensive talent, but they've still got Nick Bosa, they've still got Fred Warner, and they've got Robert Saleh back. And I think really the issue last year wasn't the talent. They had a lot of talent, but the defense wasn't good because the defensive coordinator wasn't good. So I think Saleh's going to raise the floor. I think Purdy and Shanahan are going to set the ceiling. I think people are sleeping on the 49ers a bit too much because of how last season went, is basically my stance there. But then, I think we might have the same answer here. Who's your Super Bowl winner?
My Super Bowl winner is the Baltimore Ravens, Dom.
Yeah, mine's the same.
I more just want it to happen more than anything. I think I got to admit my biases here. The Ravens are such a fun team to watch. I think they reinvented, the modern game as we know it. The way that Lamar's been so successful at QB, and I'm just so bored of the same teams in the AFC winning it. So I'm really hoping and praying that the Ravens can make a deep run.
I agree with what you said earlier as well about like the whole Lamar can't get it done in the postseason narrative. I kind of hate that narrative for any quarterback, by the way. Like Justin Herbert, Lamar, pick one, right? Like it is literally like, Nick Foles saw the high end of what can happen in the playoffs. You string together 3 Cinderella performances and you win the big one. But, and the reverse is the same as well. You have one bad day at the office, you have one terrible drop from Mark Andrews, and suddenly you're out of the playoffs. So, it can work both ways. And I don't think it's really fair to pin the downside of variance on a specific player or really a coach at all. So I have also gone with the Baltimore Ravens as my Super Bowl winner. I just think they are the only team that can match the Eagles in terms of its kind of like overall talent. I think that, the Eagles are probably stronger position group per position group, but I like the Ravens defense a lot. And I think Lamar Jackson is a top 3, maybe even top 2 quarterback in the NFL. I think he's a special talent that can win you big games like the Super Bowl, like the AFC Championship. I mean, I think he's the best dual threat quarterback ever, I would argue. I think that just the way he plays the game is a different level. Like, players can't rush him because if you let Lamar Jackson escape out of the pocket, you're cooked. He's going to get 20 yards plus. Like, you got to contain him. He's now a much better pocket passer as well, so he can also carve you up with his arm as well as his legs. I just think he is a fantastic player and would also be my pick for Super Bowl MVP if we were doing that. Moving on then, not to Super Bowl MVP, but to MVP. Who is your MVP?
My MVP is Joe Burrow, Dom.
Okay, interesting.
I think so. Last season, 4,900 yards, 45 total touchdowns. If his defense wasn't absolutely terrible, that is one of the greatest quarterback seasons we've seen maybe ever. Yet, Dom, coming from, I believe they went 9-8 last year, the Bengals.
Yeah, 9-8, yeah.
And my logic is that even if they're the 7th seed, that is an MVP season. You can't win MVP without making the playoffs. And can the Bengals defense even get any worse? Is my question. They did re-sign Trey Hendrickson, finally signed Shamar Stewart. At least they might add something. So all they need is one more win and Joe Burrow is the MVP. He does not need to do anything different. The core is the exact same. They paid T. Higgins, paid Jamar Chase, Chase Brown as well, the running back. He's a bit of a sleeper. I really think that offense is MVP quality for Joe Burrow.
So Joe Burrow is actually my long shot for MVP. So I agree with you there. I think that, again, if the Bengals make the playoffs, I think he's in there with a CV as good as the rest of them, right? Like, he is a single-handed offensive playmaker, really. Like, I know he's got Jamar Chase, I know he's got T. Higgins, and they are fantastic in their own right. But what Joe Burrow is able to do, and has consistently been able to do every season that he's remotely healthy, is carry the Bengals to a season they just frankly should not be at if it wasn't for Joe Burrow. And last season, I agree, he had an MVP caliber performance, but because he didn't make the playoffs, which I think is, I see the arguments for it. It does kind of make sense, but also it's annoying because it does rule out fantastic performances like Joe Burrow's last year. I just think that if the defense with now Trey Hendrickson can even just be slightly better than last year. It doesn't look good, though, in the preseason. They've been getting run over by the Eagles' third stringers. They couldn't tackle the Commanders. It has not been a good offseason for the Bengals in any way, shape, or form. There's been so many distractions with Hendrickson and Shamar and all this malarkey. And I'm also worried about the offensive line. I've said it all off season. I love the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow. I love Jamar Chase. I love T. Higgins. I hate the offensive line and I hate the defense. And that's the majority of the team. It's one whole side of the ball in the defense, and then really the bedrock of the offense, which is the offensive line. So if the Bengals can make it to the playoffs, the postseason with Joe Burrow, it will be because of his fantastic performance and because of no one else's. My MVP shot, and you can give me your long shot afterwards. My MVP, pretty boring. I have gone with Lamar Jackson. I think that he had a very, very strong case to win it last year. It was close between him and Josh Allen. I will say that I wanted Josh Allen to win it because I wanted Josh to have an MVP to his name, because inevitably, if he doesn't end up winning a ring, we'll have some crazy arguments about how he isn't one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. But Lamar Jackson was absolutely incredible last year in his own right. And probably on if we're looking at the two arguments on their merits, it probably should have been Lamar. But he is just, as I said earlier, absolutely fantastic, a one-of-one player in the NFL. And if you take Lamar Jackson out of this Ravens offense and put in, let's say, Matthew Stafford, who I think is still very good, I think the team is quite substantially worse. And I think it is, despite the team being very well built around him and there being defensive talent and there being good coaching, I do think that he is the ultimate engine of the Ravens team, and their success is directly tied to Lamar's success. And I think that if the Ravens are as good as I think they're going to be, then it's because Lamar Jackson is as good as I know he can be. And I think with that, he will be a very good candidate for this result, for this win.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. Two MVPs already?
He's got 2 MVPs already, yeah.
The only thing is maybe voter fatigue, but I don't think that's real either.
But that's the thing, like with Josh Allen winning it last year, I think that's done now,
You saw it in the NBA with Nikola Jokic when they just didn't want to give him 3 in a row. I don't think that's going to happen to Lamar, and he's the odds-on betting favourite for MVP this year for very good reason. My long shot is a player that both of me and you are big fan favourites of. We talk about heavily on the pod. It's Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah!
Baker. Quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I looked up his stats last year just to refresh for the pod. And 4,500 yards, 44 total touchdowns. That is very impressive. I'm ignoring the fact that he threw 16 picks. But
hey, that's Baker for you, baby. That's Baker for you.
That's what you're getting. But the offense has only gotten better. I know he's lost Liam Cohen. Baker's had a new offensive coordinator every 3 months of his career.
Yeah, he's had 9.
He's had 9, so I'm not worried about that whatsoever. And they also just drafted Mecca Egbuka. So I think that receiver worry that, Godwin's had a very serious injury. Mike Evans is going to year 10?
I think more than that.
I think more than that as well. He's drafted in 2013. Anyway, so Mike Evans, 2012, he's an aging veteran, still got 1,000 yards last year. They've got Bucky Irving, a very good O-line headed by Tristan Wirfs. If Baker just limits the number of picks, that's an MVP season right there. That's not far off Allen or Lamar or Joe Burrow's numbers whatsoever. And also, he plays with flair, Dom. He plays with tenacity. He's got aura.
He's got aura.
He's a fan favourite on this pod. And yeah, he's my long shot for MVP.
I love Baker. Thing is, last time I said Baker Mayfield was going to win MVP, I'm pretty certain that was the year that it all imploded in Cleveland. And Baker ended up getting casted off and injured, and I didn't want to jinx my boy like that. But I agree with you. I mean, Baker, on his day, is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. It just is, as has always been the case with Baker. Can he limit his own mistakes? Can he not, throw an absolute piss missile straight down the throat of a linebacker who sat right where he's trying to throw it? Like, that is kind of Baker Mayfield football. And I think that the Bucs are a really good team. They're definitely a Super Bowl fringe kind of contender, definite playoff team. And look, Baker Mayfield has made that team better in the wake of the Tom Brady era. Like, it has been Baker that steadied that ship, and good on him. I absolutely love it. And if Baker Mayfield wins MVP, it's going to be a huge day. It's going to be a huge day for this channel. Absolutely huge day for Corbs NFL. Offensive Player of the Year, you kick us off.
My Offensive Player of the Year is Bijan Robinson, running back for the Atlanta Falcons.
Interesting, okay.
So I think the Falcons are going to lean heavily on the run game and the short passing game. Michael Penix is effectively a rookie QB. I know he sat for all of last year, but he doesn't have. He has at most, I think, 2 starts to his name with a handful of attempts. So Bijan Robinson is going to be effectively the quarterback, the captain of this offense. Everything's going to go through him. Everything's going to be dictated by him. Caleb McGarry is out for the season, the tackle, which is a big blow. I do concede that. But his run threat and his receiving ability on short passing games, which is so crucial for inexperienced quarterbacks to get their confidence up in a very weak division as well. You're playing the Saints and you're playing the Panthers twice a year. That is
Hey, put some respect on the Panthers' name.
We'll talk about that on another app. But I think Bijan could have a Saquon-style season. I could see him getting over 2K scrimmage yards this year and really being in MVP shouts, but I'm not going for quarterback for either of these because I think quarterback's an MVP award. MVP's a quarterback award. But so Bijan Robinson is my favourite. Dom, which one's yours?
I like Bijan as a shout there. I have my questions about the Falcons, which I think would hamper my choice of Bijan there. But as a talent and as an individual, he is obviously incredible. And yes, there is Drake London there, but you're right with the Saquon Barkley comparison. They had AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and he was still able to have the workload and the opportunity and the highlight reel plays to win that award, and rightly so. So I like that Bijan shout. I've gone with Justin Jefferson. I think that the Vikings are going to be competitive this year with JJ McCarthy, who in his own right is essentially a rookie quarterback. And I don't think that McCarthy will be as good as Sam Darnold. I think we all know at this point what a kind of magician Kevin O'Connell is offensively, and we all know his scheme is brilliant. And I think that the Vikings are destined for 10 wins, let's say 10, 11 wins, somewhere in that kind of range. They had 14 last year. I don't think they're going to get 14 with JJ McCarthy as their quarterback. But that means that the offensive success isn't going to go to McCarthy. I think it will go to whoever is the on the receiving end. And I think that is literally going to be Justin Jefferson. We know that he's already an elite talent. He already had a season where he got over 1,800 yards in a single season. He is the best receiver in the league, in my opinion. He is not going to have Jordan Addison there for the first 4 games. So his target share in those 4 games to start the season is going to be massive. And a bit like what you were saying with Michael Penix, you're a rookie or inexperienced quarterback, let's say, in JJ McCarthy. You've got the best wide receiver in the league. You're just going to feed that guy targets, and Kevin O'Connell is going to scheme Justin Jefferson open. Annoying, they're both JJ. He's going to scheme Justin Jefferson open, as you know the best of the offensive coaches do. And I think that he's going to put up massive numbers this year, Justin Jefferson. I think he could be in with a shout to break the single season receiving yards record this year, which is set by Calvin Johnson, I think, at like 2,000 yards, which he did on 16 games, not 17. And Tyreek Hill came pretty close a few years ago. I think that Justin Jefferson's already had a top 5. I think if my history researching was good enough. And I think with this year fully healthy, he could have an even better season than that.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson is always in with a shout. I am worried about JJ McCarthy, but I guess the same example applies to Penix as well. It's the Vikings in a tough division with the offense really based around him. It's definitely possible, Don, but I think that over 2,000 yards is a very bold prediction from you.
It is bold. But that's what the preseason's for now. Who is your long shot? Speaking of bold predictions,
my long shot is Malik Nabers, wide receiver
I like that
for the New York
one.
Giants. So he was second in all of football in targets last year. And this, he's got significantly better quarterback play. I know the preseason's just the preseason, but that Giants quarterback room, you've probably got on 3 very good quarterbacks there. If the Giants are any good, which I know is very difficult, but if the Giants are even okay and Nabers receives the same volume of targets, which I think he will because there's no one else really competing for targets on our offense, he could really ball out and he could get the Offensive Player of the Year run.
I do really like that Neighbours shout. And interestingly, if it's Russ or if it's Dart, I don't think it'll be Jameis. I think it'll be one of those two. With Russ, you do have that Russ Moonball, which we saw in the preseason, hit to Malik Neighbours, and that's a massive chunk of production for him. And if it's Dart, then you have all the underneath stuff. So I wish you could kind of combine Neighbours and Dart, Russ and Dart's ability there, and you kind of have like a really well-rounded quarterback. But I agree. I think that Neighbours cemented himself last year, not just as one of the good, ascending wide receivers in the league, but just as one of the better wide receivers in the league, full stop. He was that good in his rookie year that he kind of deserves that. It wasn't a flash in the pan. It wasn't a rookie having a good season. It was a fantastic wide receiver season. And Neighbours, if he can stay healthy and not, just take too many hits and not only be the guy, right? Hopefully that Cam Scatterbull, the run game, can do something, because problem with Neighbours last year is that as soon as offenses realised, hey, if we just bracket or double or put a safety over the top of Malik Neighbours, suddenly they can't throw it to him and the offense has no switch up, no curveball other than him. then that could be his kind of undoing there. But I do love Malik Neighbours, and look, I've got Malik Neighbours jersey. I'm a big fan. Saw him in person last year. Didn't do anything against the Eagles though, unfortunately. My long shot is Kenneth Walker, the running back for the Seahawks. I'm really high on Kenneth Walker this year. I love what I've seen from the Seahawks offense. Yes, it's preseason. It's not that the preseason counts for loads, but it's also not that the preseason counts for nothing. I think people are kind of caught in the two ends of the extreme for the preseason. I think you can definitely see what offenses or what teams are looking to try and do. And what I've seen from the Seahawks is that, first of all, that the offensive line looks a hell of a lot better with Grey Zabel there. He looks as advertised. He was an absolute maul in the preseason game. No, I don't care that he's not going against first stringers. If you're going against third stringers, I want to see you dominate them, and Grey Zabel was able to, as was really the whole Seahawks offensive line. I think that Clint Kubiak, the new offensive coordinator, his outside zone heavy system is going to really play to the strengths of the Seahawks. And Grey Zabel's a great mover. He's a big unit, great blocker. He is kind of the bedrock of the Seahawks offensive line now, I would say. And in the preseason game, the third string Seahawks running back, I can't even remember now, was getting 7 yards per attempt. So if that's Kenneth Walker, man, he's taking that thing to the house. I mean, he did a front flip off a Lions defender to keep his run going last year. He's that kind of guy. And I think that he will now put himself this year into the tier with, Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon as the top running backs in the league. So watch out for Kenneth Walker this year. Defensive player of the year now.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Hey, I think he'll snap. Do it. We're the same here.
I think he only played 5 games last year. 7.5 sacks in those 5 games. And that leg break injury was absolutely disgusting. It was a really tough watch. And that is, maybe even 15 years ago, a career ender. But he was almost back for the NFC Championship game. If the Lions made the playoffs, he would have played in the Super Bowl. If the Lions made the Super Bowl, he would have played in the Super Bowl. He's a complete game wrecker. And also, the Lions have lost both their coordinators, but I do think his role is not going to change drastically compared to the rest of the defense. He's still going to be spread out. He's still going to be mainly rushing the passer. He's not really going to be dropping back into coverage. So I do think that Aiden Hutchinson is my defensive player of the year.
I've also gone with Hutchinson there, and I completely agree with you. He was, I think elite would be underselling it, to be honest with you, last year. He had, in the 5 games that you said, 45 pressures and 8 sacks. I'm not doing this whole half sack rubbish that the league does. It's ridiculous. 45 pressures and 8 sacks in 5 games. What are we even talking about? 45 pressures. What's that? 7 pressures a game? What the hell? That is bonkers. He had a pass rush win rate. So how often are you beating the man in front of you of 38%? A good season for someone like a Micah Parsons or a TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett is kind of in around the 25% range, right? That's kind of where 38%. That is wild. He had a true pass set win rate. So that is, 3rd and 10, obvious pass situations, no chip help from the tight end or the running back. It is just pure man on man. Can you stop me? Had a win rate of 49.5%. If you left your poor offensive lineman against Aiden Hutchinson one-on-one with no bells and whistles, he was winning every other time. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The defense, yes, has lost the defensive coordinator, but they are getting key players back healthy, which they were decimated by injuries last year. And I think that Hutchinson, if you're the defensive coordinator and you're coming in, you are going to let Hutchinson run rampage and work the rest out from there. You'd be foolish not to, especially after the season that he just had. I think that he could be the best pass rusher in the league. He was the best pass rusher in the league last year by his stats and by how much he won and by the tape as well. It was against the Rams, he was terrorizing those offensive linemen. It was almost hard to watch at points. Since he has that high to his game, the fact that he could be the best pass rusher in the league, that deserves Defensive Player of the Year in my mind. Who then is your long shot?
My long shot is Fred Warner, the linebacker for the 49ers. Okay. Someone who we brought up before. I was just thinking, Pat Surtain went last year. I think the edge supremacy, I do think, is slightly going away. And I do think with Robert Saleh, maybe a linebacker win it for the first time since Luke Kuechly. And if there's anyone to do it, it'd be Fred Warner.
Yeah, Warner, if a linebacker's going to win it, Warner's obviously the one that immediately springs to mind. Again, paired back with Robert Saleh, that he, someone that he knows and has played under and has had significant success under as well. So I like the Fred Warner shout. Though, I've also not gone for an edge for my long shot as well. I've gone for Derek Stingley Jr., the Texans cornerback.
Texan bias over here.
a bit of a homer pick, but in the same way, right, that Patrick Surtain won it by being a lockdown corner on a fantastic defense. I think both is true for Derek Stingley and the Texans. I think that the Texans have, by my money, a top 5 defense in terms of player and talent and coaching. And I think that Derek Stingley has, after the kind of issues that he had in his rookie year where he was asked to play like 10 yards off coverage in zone all the time and is now allowed to be the lockdown corner that he showed he could be coming out of LSU. I think he has the same kind of criteria. He's in the same environment to be able to win that award. And I think the Texans defense will be really good. I do think Derek Stingley will be very good. If you get a few interceptions, problem is with being a cornerback is that once you're so good, people stop targeting you and then you can't have basically the stats to back up your campaign, right? If it's like, oh, great, Stingley's over there, let's just not throw to that receiver and we'll just pepper the other side of the field. The impact, obviously, you can watch you can see if you watch tape, but if you're just looking at the stats and comparing to, say, Aiden Hutchinson, who's got 1 million pressures and 25 sacks, it's going to be hard to do that. So Stingley needs to find that sweet spot of still being targeted and coming down with the ball, but also being locked down, which is quite difficult. But I do love Derek Stingley, and I do love the Texans' defense this year. Offensive Rookie of the Year now.
So for both long shot and favourite, I've just done 2 names because I reckon they are neck and neck. And I think if you're saying anything else apart from these 2 names, you're wrong. So I've got Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton.
Oh, no, I've only got one of those names.
Okay, so I'll start off with Jeanty. Obviously, top 10 pick for the Raiders. Heisman was robbed from him, if you ask me, by Travis Hunter. He is going to be an absolute wrecking ball on a revamped Raiders offense. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Raiders can do for the first time in my lifetime. I'm actually excited to watch a Raiders game. And that is mainly down to Ashton Jeanty. I think with Pete Carroll, we've seen his success in the run game before in Seattle. And I think Ashton Jeanty's going to be used similar to Marshawn Lynch, to how he was used under Pete Carroll, that big physical style runner. And I think you can see similar production from him. I think he's at his floor, I genuinely believe, is over 1,000 rushing yards. And that is offensive.
Yeah, easy, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm with you. First of all, it won't be Cam Ward because nobody is talking about a first overall pick quarterback less than Cam Ward. I do feel quite sorry for him because I do think that he will be quite good this year. But these awards, the narratives matter. That's why it has to be a playoff team that gets the MVP award, etc., etc. Like you have to have the narrative, and Cam Ward literally has no one talking about him. We've spoken about him, obviously new, and I think he is going to play well this year to a degree which might previously have put him in the running for it. But there's not going to be any eyes on him. People are going to be more excited about Ashton Jeanty. I agree with you, and I think that it's the obvious pick, but it's obvious for a reason. That he's going to a team which had an awful run game last year, with a new head coach in Pete Carroll and a new offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly that love running the damn football. And you don't draft a player like Ashton Jeanty that highly and not just force feed this guy carries, right? I think he's going to have 25 carries a game. I think that's inevitably going to result in comfortably over 1,000 rush yards, if not even more if he is as good as we think he is, which I suspect he will be. And then you've also got Geno Smith, who is going to take care of the passing game. They can't sell out to stop the run because they've got Brock Bowers at tight end. They've got Jacoby Myers at wide receiver. They've got Jack Besh. So I've been bullishly high on the Raiders all offseason. And I think Ashton Jeanty winning Rookie of the Year is a massive part of that. But then your long shot is Omarion Hampton. Mine's another running back, but not Omarion Hampton. So you tell me why you're right and I'm wrong.
Well, Harbaugh loves running the football. That is as simple as it goes. J.K. Dobbins, who is, in my opinion, a below-average running back, was really quite good last year because of the system that they put in place. Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, they've got a very strong offensive line, and Omarion Hampton behind that offensive line.
Slater's injured.
I know, I realised that the second I said it. He's out for the season,
but their backup tackle is also good anyway. Like the offensive line will still be good, but obviously losing Slater is an L.
Yeah, massive L. But I still think the offensive line is very strong. I do think the offense on the whole is going to be better, but I think they're going to keep on running the football, and they've drafted in Omarion Hampton just to that, to be the workhorse, to take the load off Justin Herbert and that below-average receiver core. So I think Omarion Hampton is the X factor.
Yeah, Hampton is also incredibly talented and is that like downhill bell cow running back that Harbaugh is going to run into the ground. Harbaugh and Roman are, I think, even more so than Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly, are the most like run favorited coaches in the league. They just they play that old school football. They're just going to run it down your throat. And Ryan Hampton's the kind of guy that can shoulder that load. I have, though, gone in a different direction because I do think that, I don't know, maybe it's a bit there's a certain lack of dynamicness, if that makes sense, to the Chargers offense, which I think might kind of sell Hampton a bit. So I've gone with Travian Henderson, another running back for the New England Patriots. He's been lighting it up in preseason. Scored in his first touch, showed his home run threat ability, something I've been pounding the table for the entire draft cycle. And they've also been force feeding this guy wheels. He's going to be involved in the receiving game to no end. And as you said for Bijan Robinson, that is a massive outlet for a quarterback and also massively increases your likelihood of winning the award when you have, let's say, even something like, Alvin Kamara has never hit 1,000 rush yards in a season. But he is, how crazy is that, by the way?
I didn't know that.
But he is understood to be one of the best running backs, or has been previously at least, because of that ability in the receiving game as well. And that's kind of where I see Henderson trending. I see Henderson being a kind of 800 rush yard maybe kind of guy, but then also like a 600 receiving yard kind of guy, something like that, like have the combined yards of like 1,300, somewhere in that range. And I think that if the other rookies don't perform, could be enough. Because I also do like Ted McMillan, obviously Gentry's there. I think it's a really strong offensive rookie class. So it's going to be a hard one to win, and whoever wins it will deserve to.
Quickly, with Ted McMillan, because I know both me and you were so high on him in the pre-draft process. And some of our watchers might be like, why are you bailing on him now that he's got to the league? I'm really quite worried about his hamstring injuries. I think that might play up. I don't know if he's going to play the whole
We've got him
season.
in Dynasty. Is it that bad?
Honestly, I just saw some bloke on TikTok claiming to be a doctor talking about it, who definitely wasn't. But at the same time, it does give me a bit of cause for concern.
Oh, man, I've got him. We got him in Dynasty, and I've got him in one of my fantasy leagues. So I need that guy to be healthy because I think he could be really good. I think he's got like 1,000 yards locked in, Ted McMillan, in my mind, and that also could be enough. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think
we'll be aligned here.
Another Giant, Abdul Carter.
Yeah, we are aligned.
He's the third best pass rusher on an amazing D line. He's not going to be doubled every single play. People are talking about that clip in preseason of him getting pancaked by a tight end. But people,
oh my God.
But people aren't focusing
with that, man.
on his tape against Deion Dawkins, which if you follow Dom Corbs NFL on TikTok, you would have seen a great film breakdown.
Hell yeah, you would.
He is already an elite pass rusher, I think, and I think he's going into a system where he's going to flourish. That Giants D-line is so strong. If you're not blocking him, you're blocking Brian Burns, you're blocking Dexter Lawrence, even Kayvon Thibodeau, who I know you're not super high on. But if he's your fourth...
No, he's looked better.
Yeah, and also, if he's your fourth worst pass rusher, you've got a pretty damn good pass rush.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think Abdul Carter could not be put into a better situation, and he has the raw ability and talent to wreck games.
I've also gone with Abdul Carter, and I think it's the obvious choice for obvious reasons. Like you say, he's playing on an elite defensive line with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns. You might try and double Carter, but it's not really going to work. And also, even in the preseason when they were, or he had to kind of like get through a chip or whatever, he was able to counter that easily. Yes, he only had like 6 reps against the Bills starting offensive line. He had 3 pressures on those 6 reps. Like, that was a pass rush win rate of like 50%. Like he is that guy. He is that guy. And I think he's got clear talent, clear athleticism, and I think he's the clear winner of this award. If he doesn't win it, someone else has to have an absolutely insane season. And it's not going to be Jalen Walker, I don't think. It's not going to be Mike Green, because I think that Mike Green is a character people don't want to give that award to. He would be in a shout on field wise. He had a really good preseason as well. It's not going to be, who else was the Falcons rookie? Not Jalen Walker
so Dom, can I quickly jump? So those are my 2 long shots: is Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. The 2 Falcons D linemen. Because I just think they are going to be on the field for 100% of pass rushing downs, which I think as a rookie is the hardest thing to do, especially on defense when there's so much rotation going on. They've invested so much draft capital into these 2 players that every single bit of coaching we've focused on them. Every single play will be designed for them to succeed. Because if they don't succeed, the GM's gone.
Yeah. I like James Pierce Jr. there. I just question Jalen Walker. And then I also question them together because
I couldn't explain why one would do better than the other, so I just put them both together.
Well, I think Jalen Walker's a lot more raw. I think James Pierce Jr. is much better as a pass rusher. But it's hard. I almost think they're expecting two rookies, one of which is very raw, the other of which is almost more like a designated pass rusher for many people, to turn around an entire defensive unit. So I don't hate that outside shout, but I think mine's a lot better. And I think you're going to be annoyed that you didn't choose mine. And actually, I think you've forgotten about him like everyone else has.
Okay.
Will Johnson.
Yeah, well, I completely forgot about him. You're right.
Yeah, he has been
He's the
locked
13th
down.
overall player on my big board.
He was my 9th overall player on my big board. He has been locked down in preseason and in training camp. Yes, it's training camp. That's even less than preseason, I know. But from what we've seen, it looks really good. He was my 9th ranked player, your 13th ranked player. He was flawed, yes, a bit over aggressive, but he could be a lockdown cornerback in the NFL. And I think that the Cardinals drafted him and took a swing on him, expecting him to maybe be that. I don't think the Cardinals have another cornerback that that they don't have a Satan or a Stingley or a Sauce. They've only got Buda Baker. And I think that Will Johnson could potentially in this year, in his first year, I know there were injury concerns and that's why he fell. If he's healthy and is able to play as well as I know he can and you know he can, I think he's got a shot. I think he's going really under the radar here.
I was so high on him coming into the pre-draft process, but he failed to, I believe, pick 46.
Yeah, second round, definitely.
Yeah, second round, definitely.
Right, yeah.
And it was one of those things that I just assumed. It was like, oh, yeah. I think he had like degenerative knee issues or like cartilage issues. One of those things that, we had no idea before. But we've seen players turn it around before. Eagles linebacker had a similar, I can't think of, went to Georgia.
Nakobe Dean, Zach Bourne.
Nakobe Dean, he went in the 3rd round because a doctor said he would never be able to play a snap of football. And now he's a Super Bowl champion. So you've seen so many players turn it around. And I really hope that Will Johnson can. I think that's a really good outside shout, Dom.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one. I thought you'd like that one. Now, first overall pick, I suspect we've probably gone for the same team.
It's the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Their quarterback room has 0 career wins. It's
Wait, what?
Yeah, because
Spencer Rattler never won an NFL
No, he's
game.
0-6, and Tyler Shuck's never played.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So how are you expecting that team to win a football game? Kellen Moore has taken the worst job in football. He's been offered captain of the Titanic after it's hit the iceberg. There's nothing he can do to turn this team around. They've gone. They're over the salary cap. Well, obviously under to play, but you know what I mean. They're in cap hell.
Yeah. They've still got cap problems.
Yeah, an aging team. There's not really that much young talent. Olave's 1 concussion away from retirement. Rashid Shaheed, Kamara's old. I don't see this team doing much of anything at all.
Yeah, I've gone with the Saints. It's a very chalky pick again. They just don't have a good roster. The defense looks anemic, genuinely anemic. They had to release, or waive rather, Isaiah Foskey, who was their 2nd round pick from only like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They've drafted terribly. Mickey Loomis, I can't believe he's still in the job as Saints GM because he has just had whiff after whiff. And the team is not good. And I agree with you. It's odd that Kellen Moore would take the job of the Saints. I guess he's got job security for at least 2-3 years because everyone knows just how bad this team is. Like no one is under any false assumptions that this team is going to be a Super Bowl contender anytime soon. But yeah, when you got Spencer Rattler, who has won the starting quarterback job and who I think is going to be better than Tyler Shook. But again, why have you drafted Shook if you're going to play Rattler? And as I said at the beginning, before they drafted Shook, he can either take you surprisingly to the verge of the playoffs, in which case, brilliant, maybe he's your guy, or he takes you to the 1st overall pick and you draft whoever's coming out in the draft. Nussmeier, Manning, maybe if it is the Saints that have the 1st overall pick, Klubnik, Sellers, whoever, right? Just makes no sense. Who's your long shot, though, Nick?
My long shot is the New York Jets.
Oh, okay. I like that one,
Because I don't think the Jets are actually that bad a team. I think Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner,
Will McDonald, Sauce Gardner.
Like they've got a lot of talent, and I like Aaron Glenn as a hire, but I just think Justin Fields. I used to be a believer, but I'm really not these days. And if he plays below average, that offense is really struggling. So they're a long shot for a reason, but I can see them not. If the things don't click, I can see it going pretty downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, I like that Jets shot. I think that the Jets might have a slightly higher floor, but they have a very low ceiling. I like the offensive line. I think that the run game with Justin Fields and with Breece Hall and with Braylon Allen will mean that they're always okay-ish. I think the defense is also okay-ish as well. I mean, Sauce, I think, is a really good cornerback. I think Will McDonald's a very good pass rusher. They got Quinnen Williams. They got players there, but I could definitely see them. That's in their range of outcomes, right, the Jets this year. But I do think that Aaron Glenn will just have them playing slightly good enough to not be in there. I've gone with a really rogue one. I've gone with the Falcons.
Really?
I can see basically what I think you need for the first overall pick. I really think that despite the Saints being the obvious pick, how many times has the obvious first overall pick actually end up having the first overall pick?
50%, I'd say.
I don't think it's that at all. I can't say I've had to fact check it, but I would put good money. Like, do you remember one year when it was the Cardinals when Kyler Murray was going to miss the first 7 games? Everyone was like, the Cardinals going to have the first overall pick. Are they going to draft Kyler Murray? Are they going to draft his replacement? I would bet good money on, and I have not checked this. This is just a theory that I'm testing out live on the pod. We'll do it live. That most of the time, the team that everyone thinks is going to have the first overall pick doesn't actually have the first overall pick. Because what you really need to be the worst team in the NFL is you need to implode, really. Something needs to go pretty disastrously wrong. With the Titans last year, it was Will Levis giving the ball to the defense every other snap. The offensive line, Nicholas Petit-Frere being the worst offensive lineman in football. Brian Callahan is the new head coach, not really being able to do much. I think the Falcons kind of have those necessary parts. I think they've got a rookie quarterback, essentially, like you were saying, in Michael Penix, who has shown high upside, but also has shown some classic inexperienced quarterback errors, right? Footwork, accuracy, timing, ability to maneuver in the pocket, etc. They've had an injury to a key player, Caleb McGarry. So the offensive line is now a key piece down. That's going to impact the run game. That's going to impact the pass protection as well. I don't trust Raheem Morris as the head coach because I think the head coach kind of sets the floor of a team often, as does the quarterback. And we don't know what Penix's floor is at the moment. He is, Raheem Morris, as head coach now, his head coaching record is 29-47. Not great. And I can just see all of these pieces, the inexperienced quarterback, the head coach who's already on the hot seat again after already being fired, injury to a key offensive player that might undermine the offense entirely, defense relying on young defensive rookies. I can just see it all falling apart. Is it a long shot? Yes, because they do obviously have talent. They've got Bijan Robinson. They've still got 4/5 of the offensive line healthy. I think Penix should be better than I fear he could be. I think Drake London's a wide receiver 1. I can see this being on the cards for the Falcons. I really can.
I disagree, Dom. I understand it's a long shot, but their team's just too good. Bijan Robinson will single-handedly win them 3-4 games minimum. Drake London had 1,500 receiving yards last year. Kyle Pitts is primed for a breakout season. You know,
yeah.
And even on the defense, you've got Jesse Bates. You've got 2 rookie.
What is it when you're lost in the darkness? Look for the light. Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, you got Jesse Bates. You've got 2 young pass rushers. I do think there's just enough there. I think they're closer to. I think they're closer to the NFC Championship game than they are to the first overall pick.
I think they've got a very wide range of outcomes, right? I agree with you. But I think the floor is set by your head coach and your competency of your quarterback. And I don't think the head coach has shown to be that competent. And we don't know what Penix's floor is. It might be a lot better, but at the moment it is unknown. So I think it's possible there. What I'm saying is it's possible. But if you agree or disagree with anything that Mia or Nu have said, have we missed out on a really obvious shout for Offensive Rookie of the Year? Have we disrespected the defensive player on your team who you think should win Defensive Player of the Year? Let us know everything down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to not miss a video. Make sure you like the videos. I'll to push it out to other NFL fans. But I've been your host, Dom Corbs. That's my co-host, Nick Corbs. We'll see you on the next video.
See ya.